What would you like to know?
What's your name?
My name is Shanna Davey.
What do you do in life?
Well, okay, so people ask that question and they want to know what you do for work, which is how I know you, so I guess that's relevant, but I work at a New Seasons market. I work as part of our operations team, so I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And
New Seasons is a grocery store?
It's a grocery store, yes, in Portland, Oregon. I do that to make money,
right?
And to talk to my coworkers who are now my friends.
What are you passionate about in life?
I really like philosophy. I really like nature. I really like connecting with people, being creative, and trying to answer all the whys in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really passionate about kind of unlocking how to become a stronger, more compassionate person.
Is there anything inside of role-playing games that relates to that? Like, how do role-playing games fit into your passions and your want to kind of unlock that for you?
I love the evolution of characters and the collaborative evolution of characters, because just like real life, we're not in this world alone, and the people we meet change us, and the things that we do kind of change what we want. So I really like to see that in that microcosm of role playing, is playing that out in that pocket universe, and seeing how that can relate to kind of our larger journey.
How long have you been playing role-playing games?
Just a few years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What has been your experience thus far with that universe?
Well, the only other D&D campaign I played was a few years ago with you, and I I find just between that game and then this new campaign, or like what we've been working towards or thinking about it,
mm-hmm.
I realize that my characters tend to be a bit like autobiographical, or like I definitely go to a pocket of like something I'm going through currently,
mm-hmm.
And like flesh that out in my characters. And I didn't know I did that until like doing this a couple times, or like thinking about it or brainstorming about it, and then I'm like, oh, I see. I want to play that character because I have that pain to work out, or I want to explore that in my life.
Sure. Exploration,
yeah.
Like emotional exploration.
Emotional exploration, for sure.
I hear a little catharsis in there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where I've, talked to a lot of different gamers at this point, and a lot of people are like, oh, I want to have, like, I want to focus on like these magics, or like these skill sets, or like seeing how I can like be effective in the game, where like I just go to a hard place. I just go to what's going on in my life right now,
mm-hmm.
and like how can I like act that out in this like safe universe.
I love that.
Yeah. And then all the other stuff is like I'm like, oh, magics, like, oh, skills, weapons, like it's just kind of like icing,
Sure. Sure. You're gonna roll what you roll.
Exactly.
And you'll also roll with the punches as the game progresses.
Mm-hmm.
So, what attracted you to this project?
This project in particular?
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I mean, aside from just like wanting to get back into the game, because I haven't played for a while, I was extremely attracted to the world building, and just like the idea of creating a whole universe, whole story, whole everything that we play in was like really, really enticing for me.
And now that we're a couple weeks into it, how's that going for you, Rick?
So great.
Yeah.
It's like way beyond my expectations. Like I had no idea how it would work. I had no idea how Microscope worked or how it would be led. And it's so fun. It's so fun and so thrilling. And the group is like so, I knew a couple people going into it, but I just feel like we all have a voice, and we're all like fully contributing. And it kind of reminds me of different like college classes I took, where, it's how much you get out of the class has everything to do with how enthusiastic everybody is in your group, or like, you know, how much you get out of the project. And I definitely feel like this group is super enthusiastic and willing to participate, and not and also very respectful, like giving space for every voice.
Yeah.
And that's really important because we have some people in our group that are louder and some that are quieter, but like I'm really excited by the way that everybody's kind of finding their stride, and that every person is so already so important, and everybody is bringing their own strengths. And I'm really excited that Bowen's going to be joining us this week, because I feel like I've just been excited to see what he's going to bring, especially now that I'm starting to see what everybody brings. I feel like it'll be like more, like the gaze will be more on him, like, oh, what do you got, you know? And like, I think we're going to see that really clearly. So that's exciting.
That is exciting. In terms of playing off of different players, who, and of course this is going to change over time, but who are you most excited about role-playing with once we get into the actual nitty-gritty of creating a character and playing that out?
Well, I'm most excited about the unexpected, which this might be like a cop-out, but I love how, I mean, we still don't know the framework. We don't know if we're going to be diving into like one specific character for a long time, or we're going to have these like several characters that we're like zooming in and out of.
Sure.
But I'm sure that like, there's going to be a lot of unexpected. So depending on who we decide to play, like that's, like I can get all like focused or excited about role playing with one person, but I have no idea what it's actually going to be like, or, you know, in game.
Right.
I do think it's fun that I'm dating Will and we get to like play characters now, and maybe sort of integrate a dynamic, or like a power dynamic, or like a way we relate to each other in the game, just like with backstory. It just might be fun to play with.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
No, I absolutely see that.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about in the timeline that we've created so far?
I'm really excited about the arc.
What do you mean by that?
Like sort of the place of, like right before the Cold War, or like right during the Cold War, like sort of this we have all this past to build off of and all of this future to come, but we're in this space of sort of, this space of where everything kind of shifts. I mean, it seems to be like shifting all the time anyway, but I'm excited to explore that, because I feel like there's so much more to explore in that particular space, and I'm also invested in the story already. So we've established sort of these beginnings of dwarves and griffins and elves and humans, and now I'm really excited to see how we decide they get to the arc, and then what happens during the arc. Like, I'm invested in the story, and that's where a lot of the action that relates to the future seems to, like, I mean, like, that's why it's the arc. Like, I'm really curious to see how we as a group figure out what's going on right there, and how we came to that place.
How does ownership relate to you in terms of the story thus far?
Ownership, but in terms of like a hive mind. Like, we've created, because what I love about Microscope is it takes the ego out of it. And I think all of us, what's cool is like all of our egos are being highlighted, but also like, what do you call it? Like when you're not allowed to go rampant, like harnessed, you know? Like all of our egos are definitely on display, but they're also like harnessed and regulated,
Sure.
Like specifically regulated.
There's a focus.
Yes. And so what we create is quite literally like the unharnessed collaborative energies of our egos, like wrapping up into this hive mind.
Yeah.
But in this like specifically doled out way that doesn't let one ego overshadow anyone else's. So it's like everything we've created is ours together through this very specific process that wouldn't come about otherwise, because we'll start deferring from the rules, you know, and you can feel it, and you can feel how that feels inappropriate because it's not respecting the final product, and it like helps you self-regulate. I just like that. It's like we can't look at that table and be like, oh, that's Ashleen's story or that's Will's story. We can't possibly do that. It is our story. Like there's no one mind on that table that's brighter than the rest. Even if you talk more, you're more illiterate or not, you know, more elaborate at the table. When it comes to the board, that's everybody's, and it's like right there. And I really like that. It's like a really amazing equalizer that we can all own together.
Well said.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Just got my haircut.
we're gonna absolutely slow-mo the shit out of that.
Haven't washed my hair today.
Yeah.
I have a giant zit. I love coffee.
And then slow-mo.
I love our viewers.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about in respect to the game, and anything that you want to say or ask questions or anything like that? Or even questions that like don't need to be resolved right now. Like, I'm really interested in having this answered. Question.
I feel like I'm really excited to see how we decide we want to play this. Like, now we're in the world building, super invested in that, really excited about that, feel like we can do that for like a good while longer. But I'm really excited to see what framework we decide to actually gameplay with, like as a group, like how we decide to, like, I'm super curious if we're gonna just like pick a specific time and place and then just like play that out for like the next year, you know?
Yeah.
Or if we're gonna have these like islands of thought and like jump around with several characters. Like I'm really curious to see what we come up with.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I feel like islands of characters could result into a very spread out but cohesive story.
Yeah.
That could span across the timeline, that we as players could really go, wow, look how that all connects.
Mm-hmm.
Look how much of an accordion that is in terms of like we spread it out during world building, and now it feels like we're just kind of closing in, and you can feel all the little folds connecting even though they're not really connected, at least not directly. So I see what you're saying. Is there anything else you want to add?
What is there anything else I want to add? I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like microscope's really fun, and I really, it's like to me it's like a real like, what do you call it? It's like a revelation in gameplay. Like it totally is my style of like what I like how I like to intellectually like creatively play.
Yeah.
And so I'm really glad it exists, and it makes me want to explore other sort of storytelling games.
Yeah.
Like I would like marathon. Like I don't always feel that pull to like marathon D&D like and just like gameplay, but I would marathon the shit out of like this like storytelling like microscope type. Like I would like lock myself away for a weekend and do this with people. Like no problem.
You know what's interesting about that is that I feel like we can always go back to the layout of our story via microscope and like just do another round.
Yeah.
You know, we can always go back to that if there are some people that feel particularly inspired to like during gameplay, like there are things that happen and suddenly someone goes, oh my God, I want to create something in the timeline. okay, well, maybe at that moment that's not the most appropriate time to do that, but there's nothing stopping us from going back into the microscope mix
Yeah.
and just plugging that in.